I would like to extend a warm welcome to members of the Council, officers and members of the public and press in attendance at this Council meeting of the 13th of October 2025. Welcome to those who may be watching the meeting live on YouTube. I am Councillor John Sleep, Chairman of the Council. Please note that this meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's website and on YouTube. It will remain available for a minimum of 12 months. Please switch any mobile devices, including laptops, to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. If the fire alarm rings, please can everyone exit the room immediately and use the nearest signed fire exit. Please go to the fire assembly point, which is located at the bottom of the car park by the garages. We will take apologies. Chief Executive, do you have any apologies to report?
Apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Hayward, Miller and Osborne. Are there any other apologies? Councillor Richards?
Councillor Parker.
Councillor Parker. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take agenda item 1, minutes. Members, there are 2 sets of minutes to approve. Firstly, please can I ask members to agree the minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on the 28th of August 2025 as a correct record? Thank you. Before I ask members to agree the minutes of the meeting on the 15th of September, I understand that Councillor Blunden has something to raise.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'd like to offer clarification regarding my response to Councillor Malcolm Wade's supplementary question, which was question 8. My answer was based on the ongoing delivery arrangements for bags across the district, which I had in mind at the time. After the meeting, I was asked to clarify this point further, and an email was subsequently circulated to all members. And may I request that a copy of this email be inserted into the minutes?
Thank you, Councillor Blunden. This will be reflected in the minutes for the meeting tonight. Please can you agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of September 2025 as a correct record? Agreed. Thank you. We will take agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest in connection with an agenda item for this meeting? Thank you. Agenda item 3, Chairman's announcements. Chairman's engagements. On Friday the 19th of September, I had the privilege to represent the district at a British Empire Medal Award ceremony for Jackie Keeble of the New Forest Disability Information Service. Many of you will know that Jackie launched the service over 30 years ago and has recently retired. The service continues to provide vital support to those in need across our communities. The award was presented to Jackie by the Lord Lieutenant of Hampshire in her shop, which was brilliant because she could have all her friends with her. I've also attended the Mayor of Christchurch Civic Day, along with civic services for the Mayor of Fareham and the Mayor of Basingstoke-on-Deane. The Vice Chairman, Councillor Dave Penny, attended the Harvest Civic Service for the Town Mayor of New Milton on Sunday the 28th of September. I attended an amazing charity variety show for the Mayor of Basingstoke-on-Deane. The show commenced with a local young dance group dressed up in their cat's outfits, and the rest of the show included all members of the Grand Order of Water Rats. This was finished by Rick Wakeman and his son. It was a brilliant cast and a great evening. Both the Vice Chairman and I attended the Tools for Self-Reliance 45th anniversary on Friday, the 10th of October, which honoured the people, partnerships and progress that have shaped their stories since 1980. There were inspiring stories from their projects in Africa and the UK, and we met volunteers, supporters and staff. Finally, I attended the annual law service on Sunday the 12th of October with the Vice Chairman and his consort at the invitation of the High Sheriff and the Mayor of Winchester, held at Winchester Cathedral. Looking forward, I am very pleased that plans are being made for a signing ceremony to be held next month here at Appletree Court for our revised and renewed Armed Forces Covenant, which I will be signing jointly with the Commanding Officer of 17 Port and Maritime Regiment, RLC, and I will be accompanied at the ceremony by our leader, Councillor Gear Cleary, our Armed Forces Champion, Councillor Alvin Reid, and our Officer Armed Forces Champion, along with the Chief Executive and our veterans who are also employees. To conclude, I will be representing the district at the Linders Service of Remembrance Sunday, as well as hosting the usual commemoration here at Appletree Court on Armistice Day, Tuesday the 11th of November. I would be very pleased to see you here for this event at 11 a.m, where we will once again be joined by military representatives, veterans and staff. I will take agenda item 4, Leaders' Announcements. Leader of the Council, do you have any announcements?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Community groups in the New Forest can now apply for funding through our Community Grants Scheme. Our scheme provides financial support to local organisations that deliver services, activities or facilities that benefit residents and contribute to the well-being of communities across the district. In the 2025 to 2026 financial year, we awarded over $150,000 in revenue grants to 20 organisations delivering a wide range of services to residents, including help for vulnerable households, young carers and people with disabilities. Just over $77,000 in capital grants was awarded to 8 organisations, contributing to improvements to village halls, a creative hub and sports facilities. We are proud to help community groups continue their valuable work and invest in projects that make a real difference across the New Forest. Applications are open until the 31st of October 2025, and groups can find out more information about the grants on our website. Starting next Monday, residents in Phase 2 will start using our new waste collection and recycling service. This includes Bransgore, Fordingbridge, Ringwood and surrounding areas, who will have new waste collections using wheelie bins and food waste recycling caddies. The second phase of this rollout marks another important milestone in our commitment to improving how we manage waste and recycling across the district. Our coastal engineers are currently undertaking maintenance work at Hurst Spit. Taking advantage of the favourable weather, shingle material is being recycled from the wider sections of the spit to reinforce the narrower areas, which experienced significant erosion following last winter's storms. This essential work will help restore the integrity of the spit and ensure continued flood and erosion protection for Keyhaven and the surrounding areas this coming winter. And finally, we've announced that we will be providing 4 days of free parking in our town and village centre car parks this December. The first of the free parking days will be on Small Business Saturday on the 6th of December 2025. This is an annual national campaign to encourage consumers to shop local all year round and support small businesses in their communities. Other parking days include the last weekend before Christmas and an additional day where town and parish councils can request free parking in support of their Christmas events. We are sure this decision will help to encourage residents and visitors to shop locally and support New Forest businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. We will now take agenda item 5, Review of Market Supplement Payments. Councillor Cleary, please will you introduce this item and the recommendation to approve the revised market supplement policy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You can see the executive summary. This actually affects all NDF staff. I fully recommend this report before you this evening and would like Council to agree it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Thank you. We'll move on. Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendation to approve the revised market supplement policy. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. That vote is now with members to approve the revised policy. Options for, against and the alternative to abstain. Councillor Terry, I think we're just waiting for yours.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. That should be with you.
Thank you. That vote was unanimous. Agenda item number 6, Report of Cabinet, 1st of October 2025. Members, dealing first with part 1, I will call each item to see if any member wishes to speak on those matters resolved by Cabinet. Item 1, Draft Housing Landlord Tenancy Policy. Are there any speakers? Thank you. Item 2, Corporate Plan, Key Performance Data for Quarter 1, 2025-2026. Are there any speakers? Thank you. Item 3, Corporate Peer Challenge Follow-up Report. Are there any speakers? Thank you. Item 4, Climate Change and Nature Emergency Annual Update. Are there any speakers? Councillor Wade.
Chairman, having our documentation and our policies accurate and honest is an important part of being a local authority. So I looked at the Climate and Nature, which this is about, action plan, external area action plan. On page 152, it says, I quote, public transport improvements, road transport partnership working with public and shared transport providers to provide increase in uptake and efficiency of services, e.g. ferries, buses, trains, taxis, etc. Now, either we take ferries out of the document, because every time I bring the High Ferry to this council, you reject supporting it. So in all honesty and having integrity, either take ferries out of it or support the ferry when it needs it.
Any other speakers?
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Blunden, would you like to respond? Oh, excuse me. Councillor England.
Thank you very much, Mr Chairman. I would just like to bring it to view and everyone in this chamber that we also have the Isle of Wight ferry running from Lymington. It's not the only. So that's not quite accurate. Thank you very much.
Councillor Blunden.
Thank you, Chairman. I will certainly take that back to the Task and Finish group to consider what was suggested.
Thank you. Members, now moving to part 2, I will call the relevant Cabinet members in turn to move the recommendations for Council. Item 5, Medium-Term Financial Plan, Scene Setting. Councillor Herron, will you introduce this item and the 5 recommendations from Cabinet?
Thank you, Chairman. Happy to report the recommendations as set out in the paper and look for the support of the Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Councillor Jack Davis.
Thank you. I have a small amendment to the fees and charges on the medium-term financial plan. So it's to say there is no charge for the first hour in town centre car parks.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Rackham.
I'm happy to second. Thank you.
Do we have any speakers on the amendment? You can. Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I won't be long. It was just to say I was very pleased to see the council unanimously backed my motion at the last council meeting to support the reinstatement of the 1 hour free parking period on Lymington High Street. But it's not just on-street parking that is driving trade away from our high streets. Town centre parking is crucial for encouraging shoppers to come to our high streets and use local businesses instead of going out of town. So much so, this council provides 5 days of free parking in the run-up to Christmas. The Conservative administration, as did the one Reform councillor, voted to increase the cost of long-stay parking, the long-stay parking got by £80, yet the projected income that was supposed to raise didn't materialise because it's a false economy. We are still in the grip of a cost of living crisis where people are struggling to make ends meet. This council should be doing everything it can to help people save money. This council is sitting on millions of reserves but won't back local businesses with anything more than warm words. I urge you to support local people, support local businesses and vote for 1 hour free parking in our town centre car parks.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham, would you like to speak now or speak later?
Can I speak later, actually?
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. The leader very eloquently mentioned how she wants to support local businesses with our 4 days or 3 days of free parking. And I believe that is the case. But the reality is 3 days free parking are not going to really keep a business alive, are they? We really want to help our businesses to get people to shop in our towns instead of going to free out-of-town parking centres where there's loads of bigger shops. We need to give something back to the residents and our businesses 300 all the time. Now, the reality is, and I know that Councillor Heron will be happy to tell us how we really can't afford it. We have 1 year to go of controlling our budget, and then 1 more year, and then we're going to be in a shadow authority, aren't we? So let's look at this realistically. Why don't we give something back to the New Forest residents now when we can, before it's taken out of our control? This council is not poor. The paper, and I will speak after this to the main paper, but the paper itself says that the fair funding situation is not as bad as we thought it was going to be, although we don't know for definite. Well, this is true protectionism up to the last minute. If you do the same old things, you get the same old results, and we're not giving anything back to our residents. So do this. Give them something that this new council can show we care about our businesses, we care about our residents. We want to do something to really help them while we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everybody. It pays to have a long memory. 20 odd years ago, I can remember when the Liberal Democrats were bold enough to introduce a car parking charges scheme with, I add, free permits for local residents. Now, I remember, and I'm looking at one or two of you as I cast my eye around the chamber, you accused the Liberal Democrats of being the enemy of the motorists. Oh, how things have changed, haven't they? Now it seems we can't afford to help the motorists in any way. And worse than that, we have retailers who are struggling. They're struggling because of a lot of reasons, but we all know that things change over time, and one of the features that's different today is the rise of online shopping. And if you're a retailer, you're stuck with all sorts of costs that the online retailers don't have to contend with. Business rates, dealing with councils who make their life difficult, might I suggest. We have an opportunity this evening, members, to recognise the importance of our local businesses, particularly our retailers. We have an opportunity to be a little bit more generous to people who are struggling with the cost of living and having to pay excessive Conservative car parking charges. Members, do what you can for local people and for local businesses. Support this motion.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Councillor McCarthy. Colin McCarthy.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd like to support this motion as well, and I'd like to thank Councillor Cleary as well for her support on this motion. I do tend to agree with my colleagues as well. I wasn't there 20 years ago, so I do apologise for that, Councillor Harris. But I moved into this town 12 years ago, and it was in Leamington and Pennington. It was a thriving town. It was a tourist destination where people could come with their families during the summertime. The tourism factor increased, the local businesses, they thrived, and local people enjoyed their town walking around local stores and local shops. And in the last 10 years, I've seen that decline, and it's declined in a dramatic way. Is there something funny, Councillor Heron? Okay. Yeah, so it has declined.
Just his face.
Yeah, so it's declined dramatically over the years. I fully support the hour parking due to the fact that all we see now in our high streets is it's either coffee shops, barber shops, or charity shops. It's actually affecting just not local businesses, it's affecting our local economy from a high standard because of the fact that we're losing experienced qualified retailers from the high street. People are losing their jobs, they're losing their livelihoods, and it's not benefiting anybody. So I totally support this motion, and I would like for the rest of the councillors in this chamber today to support it wholeheartedly. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richards.
Yes, I do support this motion. I'm thinking particularly of Fordingbridge, which seems to be really suffering. There's quite a lot of empty shops, and people need to be encouraged to shop locally. I'm also thinking of the residents of my ward, it consists of all the villages around Fordingbridge, and most of those villages don't even have a local shop. So it means that if you want to go and buy food, you've got no choice but to go into Fordingbridge, or else perhaps drive further afield to a supermarket with free parking. So basically, if you've just forgotten a pint of milk, I don't think you should have to pay £1.50 to park in Fordingbridge. We need a short period of free parking to make life easier for residents.
Thank you, Councillor. You didn't speak like Councillor Rickman, but you are Councillor Richards. Your nameplate is wrong. Councillor Alex Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sure, like many of you, you caught the Conservative conference and some of the speeches this year. And the mayoral candidate, Donna Jones, said in her speech that when elected, should she be elected, she wants to bring free town centre parking. I completely agree. And I think it's something that we should all follow suit on this, because there are many things without our control. We are not at fault for business rates. We are not at fault for employee national insurance absolutely destroying the impact on our independent businesses. Or the fact that many major brands won't come into our towns and villages because the buildings, the way they're built, they're just not the right size for them. So they're often made up of small independent traders, often people that we live near and employ local people. So there are a huge amount of independent businesses that matter to our communities, and once they're gone, they are gone. And once we have empty shops, we have impact of tourism and money coming in. And even major names like Leisure Fair going in Lyndhurst after many of those years, 27 shops in Lymington gone, and empty units in Hive where there is probably more charity shops and hairdressers than many residents would care to like. We will lose the character of our individual towns and villages. We are not Gosport, we are not Eastleigh, we are made up of brilliant little towns and villages all over, and we need to support them where we can. And where we can is through parking. And with the loss of banks as well in particular, which was one of the main reasons people would pop in, 5 in my area, and Totton obviously has losing Lloyds very shortly, people are losing the reason to come in. Give them 1 hour free parking as a starting point to get them in the village, get them buying a cake, get them buying their shoes locally, get them into the local shops, and show that, listen, it won't save the world, but it will show that we're on their side and we care, and we can keep these towns and villages thriving to when NFTC is no longer here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thierry.
Thank you, Chairman. You will be delighted to know that I've seen the light. I've been converted to the fact that you will not need to shut me up. Now, can you put that on record? I enjoy listening to Councillor Harrison because he has selective memory. It's one of his traits. He does have selective memory. There are things he remembers to his advantage, but there are things that he forgets because it is not to his advantage. He may recall that when the Liberal Democrats were in power, they were thrown out by the electorate over their expensive, excessive car parking charges which they wanted to implement. It was ruinous for the businesses. Business were very unhappy with the proposed programme of charges that the Liberal Democrats wanted. And so we introduced very, very sensibly, I don't know who was the clever chap who thought of car parking clocks, but it must have been somebody in this council chamber who thought, this is a brilliant idea, let's have a car parking clock. And finally, can I just say this, Chairman, just give me a moment. When we introduce car parking charges for the benefit of our residents, and I take objection to the fact that you do not believe that the Conservatives support residents, because we do, and we've got a long history of doing so. When we introduced car parking, the car parking clock, it was £5. You could have breakfast in Fordingbridge, you could have 11s in Ringwood, you could have afternoon tea in New Milton, you could have a soiree in the afternoon in Lyndhurst, and if you were unfortunate, you might be able to find somewhere to eat in Totton, using the same clock which had cost you a £5. It was the cheapest car parking anywhere. So please don't tell me that the Conservatives, over the last 25 years that we have been, the administration here, has failed to support our residents, because our record clearly demonstrates that is not the case. You may well say, give us an extra hour. You've done precious little in the time when you were in charge of this administration.
Thank you, Councillor Thierry, for finishing in time.
It will go in the minutes, won't it?
Councillor Dunning.
Thank you, Councillor Thierry. I enjoyed that. As you probably know, I've been working against the parking charges in Leamington High Street for the last 4.5 years now. And I was the only Tory councillor at Hampshire to vote against it. And the reason being that I felt it was the wrong thing to do for our high street. Very kindly, earlier this year, you, Conservatives and Liberal Democrats, supported that campaign by writing a very good letter, a very strong letter to Hampshire County Council supporting the 1 hour situation in Leamington High Street. So thank you for that. I think we can afford, as a council, to reciprocate by making the car parks that we're in charge of with 1 hour free as well. So if we can do that, I think we can afford it. I think we can't afford not to do it, because our businesses are going bankrupt. Our footfall is falling. It's time to stop that trend, and we, as councillors, I think, have that responsibility. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dunning. Oh, sorry, Councillor Tipp.
Hey. Yes, well, what I wanted to say was this. I'd love to be able to give free parking. And yeah, I haven't finished yet. But I remember when we had free parking. I remember Councillor Thierry. It was he who introduced the clock at just £5 a year. And I'd love to go back to those days, but unfortunately, those days are a long time ago. And it would be irresponsible now to do this throughout the district, because there'd be a loss of income. And okay, this administration, this council may be going, but it doesn't mean we have to be reckless and irresponsible. We have to manage the books, and believe it or not, we haven't got just millions in the bank doing nothing. Our reserves are all earmarked for something or other, and we've actually got a deficit coming up. There is a small deficit. You can shake your head if you like, but it's a fact. And it would be irresponsible, therefore, to do away. The first hour's parking is obviously going to be the most loss of income, because a lot of people will only stay for less than that. And I think that in that case, I cannot support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mark Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, just an interest. I was a retailer for 11 years on half a dozen shops, and so using the car parking this is now 80s and 90s, was essential to my trade. So first of all, I just remind Councillor Thierry that the Liberal Democrats 20 odd years ago introduced an individual pass for each household that was free, but that was taken away by the Conservative administration that came in. The parking clocks introduced. You might not remember that. So I'm just asking you to perhaps, have a bit of facts here. It's a simple proposition, this. A 1 hour's free parking. So it's three clear reasons, very clear. First of all, our high streets. A free first hour means more people are willing to pop in. We've already said that before. It boasts footfall for shops, cafes and services. It's your chemist, your butcher, your dry cleaner. More quick visits lead to more trade. It leads to a stronger turnover and healthier town centres across Hythe, Lymington, Totton, Ringwood, New Milton, Fordingbridge and beyond. So it would benefit you, I think, rather selfishly. I know your poll ratings are in the toilet at the moment, so you really do need some benefit after the waste rollout. So secondly, it's fairness for residents. Short everyday trips shouldn't feel like a penalty. Picking up a prescription, posting a parcel, helping an elderly relative, these are essential errands, and a free hour makes that easier for carers, for families and those on very tight budgets. And thirdly, better bay turnover, which is perhaps something we haven't concentrated on. This is not a free all day, it's just 1 hour, 1 free hour. Then normal charges apply. That encourages proper use, ensures spaces keep turning over, which increases revenue, and reduces people circling in traffic looking for a spot. And we all know what Lyndhurst is like on a bad Saturday. Now, I know the objections, and I look at Councillor Heron here. Yes, there are some loss, yes. But empty bays cost us too. They lost trade, they're shuttered shops, a weaker business rates base, and other councils have found free hour schemes stimulate use and partly offset the cost. Think of it as a targeted investment on local economy. And commuter abuse, well, we prevent that by requiring, obviously, the usual ticket or the app log, even for the free hour. So it's a tourist hotspot. We all recognise the New Forest is a tourist magnet. It's the same principle. Locals benefit from the free hour, but longer visitors pay as normal. Clear signage, strong enforcement. It's a key message, and people will understand that. So how do we do it? It's pretty straightforward. Lots of other councils offer this free hour. So I'm proposing we perhaps run this as a 12-month pilot if the mover of the motion agrees. We fund it initially from existing parking surplus or regeneration reserves, and let's build it as a clear review. Quarterly reports on occupancy, ticket volumes, overstays, local business feedback and footfall. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Woods.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, when I first joined this chamber, I was most impressed by the speeches of Councillor Thierry, and I set my target to be one day possibly be as good as he is, but I don't think I'll manage that. But I would like to say that I do support this motion. I support everything that has been said about it. I particularly thank my colleague Councillor Richards for bringing up Fordingbridge, because it's Fordingbridge that I'm here for today. It's for the residents of Fordingbridge. Fordingbridge, unfortunately, don't have a facility of free parking anywhere in the town. Other areas do. Ringwood, Lyndhurst, Brockenhurst, they have areas where they can park free. there is no option in Fordingbridge. So that's why an hour free parking would be really helpful in Fordingbridge. And there's not a day that goes past that somebody doesn't say to me, why don't we have free parking in Fordingbridge? I can go and park elsewhere. I can go to Ringwood and park in Waitrose car park for 2 hours for nothing. Yet Fordingbridge, I cannot find anywhere I can park free. So I support the motion, and I hope all members will also support the motion. Let's go for it. Let's get this hour free parking so our residents can benefit and also help with them with their cost of living. Thank you.
Well said. That's mine.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, we've been over this so many times in the past. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, we had exactly the same arguments from exactly the same people. The fact of the matter is this district council offers the best value parking in parking clocks, shoppers' parking clocks, that you'll find anywhere in this area. And let's not forget the fact that our most vulnerable, probably elderly residents who have blue badges actually park for free in our car parks, in probably the best spaces in the car parks. We're an outlier. No other area, no other district in this area offers free parking to blue badge holders. I might be wrong, I don't know. I have no idea how much revenue will be lost. I'm sure the Liberal Democrat members have thought through this very carefully and can give us the numbers there. But what I can tell you is that our car parks cost a fortune to maintain. And I don't mean just resurfacing with the odd bit of tarmac now and then. I'm talking about our business rates, which are quite extortionate. So all these functions need to be considered. It's an entirely specious argument to argue that our residents need free parking and it will help businesses. I think that is a little bit overstated, quite frankly. I certainly feel for local businesses, but once again, we're already providing an excellent service to our residents.
Thank you. Councillor Dampole.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to speak on behalf of the parking clocks, which I think actually, if used to their maximum value, are very, very good value. I don't want to see people making a break and getting back to the car quickly. I want to see our village and town centres used fully. And if we use our short stay parking clocks, I use mine all the time. It's really good value, and I would encourage all of us to promote them to our residents. Yes, they have gone up since the £5 day, but actually if you use them regularly, they are still very good value. And as I say, the 1 hour coming and going very quickly is not really supporting our businesses. We want people to come and use them for far longer than just an hour.
Thank you. Councillor O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just a little confused about the lack of car parking, because whenever I go to, say, Lymington or New Milton, I find it great difficulty to find somewhere to park, which means they're all full. So if you know, and obviously people are content to do that, and those who have a parking clock are only paying about 80 odd pence a week. And if those car parks are full, and then you decide to give free car parking space, where's all these extra spaces coming from? And where are the ones who can't afford to go parking? Where are they shopping now?
Thank you. Councillor England.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, we're all in here agreeing to support Councillor Dunning and going to Hampshire County Council to get the meters changed and that regime altered. Now, the recommendation that's been forward today is asking you for exactly the same, and it's going to look rather churlish whoever goes to Hampshire County Council to argue this motion with Hampshire that we fully supported, and the leader gave an excellent letter of support, that if we are actually seen to be not looking at ourselves in our own backyard. I can speak as a business, and I was speaking to another councillor today saying, gosh, They actually said to me, well, you know, have a lot of conversation with people. I said, yes, I do, because they come to my business and I should declare that. But the thing being that this is not just coming into the business, it's a long-term idea. If you actually have empty shops, it doesn't only look bad on the high street, they start to degrade. They're listed buildings around here. If people don't actually support the businesses, they're not going to remain in these shops and provide a service. It will be like ghost towns. I know it sounds a bit sort of, oh, well, it won't happen to us. Well, actually it does, because that's why the shops are now empty. I know there are people in here from a business background, and I can see a couple of them nodding their heads now. But the thing is, this is not asking for the world, it's just asking for 1 hour free. It is an inducement, it is actually allowing them to come and not be looking at their clock, to be able to shop with a leisure and appreciate the area and go again. That would actually increase the capacity and flow in the car parks. So you will be able to get a car parking slot. And I really believe that we cannot say one thing to one council and ask them to do that and us not to support it in our own. And as the leader said, they're prepared to give, and they recognise the fact of giving free parking on certain days coming up to Christmas. This is 365 days, and you also get the generation of the revenue from the business rates. Don't shoot yourselves in the foot. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. Someone once said there's no such thing as a free lunch. Well, there's actually no such thing as a free car park. Councillor Davis pointed out that our car parks have a distinct cost. But we actually provide our car parks at the cheapest rate possible. If you go outside of the area, try going into Southampton, try going into London, and you'll pay 4 or 5 times as much. Our parking system is fair and proportionate. Councillor England tried to compare the support of that to the high street. It's not the same. You know, I voted for that because it allows parity between one town centre and another. Because you can come to New Milton, and please do, we'd love to have your business. You can come to New Milton and park on the station road there for free. If you can actually find the parking space, because it's free, it's completely full most of the day. So I do support the letter we sent there, and I think that's parity for Lymington is good. But the car parks are a different thing. There is the business rates, there is the maintenance costs. We are good value, and we need to maintain that good value. And the last thing, of course, is this is yet another harebrained idea by the Liberal Democrats, purely doing a totally uncosted amendment, which doesn't set out any costs and the consequences. And when I said there's no such thing as a free car park, that is purely because somebody will have to pay for those losses, and that will be the ratepayers of this council, who we try to represent fairly.
Thank you. Councillor Alan Glass.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to go back to what Councillor Poole was saying. To help our local people, we introduced the parking clock. So as local people can buy a very cheap way to park for the whole year. That doesn't include people who want to come in from outside, Southampton or wherever, because they would cover their own cost. Therefore, I think with the parking clock, it's as good as a free hour, really. So I can't see the point of what we're spending all this time discussing when our locals could get a parking clock and have no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brand.
I might be wrong here, but I think from being on the parking group that we made a profit of 4 million a year on parking. So I don't think we can say that we're not covering our costs. And I think it's rather a cash cow for the council rather than the other way round.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Chairman.
Some people are saying about benchmarking. I've just looked on my phone because I often go up to Test Valley. £1 for 2 hours. Now, we've benchmarked a local authority that is rural that we're thinking a link with. Their 3 hours is only £2. I know they don't have a parking clock, but that is a quick benchmark, which is much less than ours. £1 for 2 hours, that would be very reasonable for our residents in benchmarking a local authority. While I'm at it, the proposer of this has just mentioned towns. There are villages with car parks, so the proposal needs to have villages as well as towns. And I think Lyndhurst and Hythe would agree with that. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any members wishing to speak? Would the seconder of the motion, Councillor Rackham, like to speak now?
I would, thank you. So our businesses work really hard to bring people in, and you've graciously offered Small Business Day as a free day of car parking. Why not take this opportunity and work with those small businesses for the whole year instead of just that one day? Residents sometimes pass through the towns because they don't want to pay for the parking and will go somewhere where they know there is free parking. That absolutely happens in Totton, we're really sure of that now. And what can you do in that free hour? Well, you can go to a doctor's appointment for free when you're ill, which otherwise you would have to pay for the parking for. You can go to shops and support them. And many of our towns now have markets, and you can go to those markets and spend some money where startups begin and where a vibrant economy can flourish. So I've been rather perplexed by the contradictions in the discussions here. Yes, those clocks were started by whoever a long time ago, I assume Michael, thank you. But if they were £5, did you say then? They're £220, I believe, now.
Long stay.
I'm sorry? Yes,
that's long stay. It was a short stay clock.
Okay, well, the long stay clock is now £220. Hampshire County Council, we are petitioning, as has been mentioned, to allow this hour of free parking. How can we possibly be so hypocritical not to do that ourselves? That is an absolute ludicrousy. It is ridiculous. So I would ask you to take this opportunity to help our businesses and our high streets and our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover of the amendment, Councillor Jack Davis.
Thank you. I think the comments made by my fellow Liberal Democrats have more than sufficed for what I would say and wash up. So thank you very much, everyone, for your contributions, and I hope you all vote to support it.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover of the original motion, Councillor Herron.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I've gone. I've got to say, I'm very disappointed at what's been coming from the other side. First of all, I'm glad that Councillor Waite read the document and that he's aware of the fairer funding. Did he read a little bit further down that said that this is in no way assured, that we have to wait until December until we do it? I'm beginning to wonder whether if the Liberal Democrats had control, there would be two new lines in the budget. One would say plane ticket to Vegas. The second one would say stake money. And that is how they would get over any problem that they may have, because they wouldn't have any reserves. They'd have depleted them so many times over. So their only hope would possibly be to pop on a plane to Vegas, see if they could cover any problems with a bit of gambling. Because that's what the Liberal Democrats do with our finances. They gamble. Not once in all the speeches that the Liberal Democrats have made about this have they said what that figure, what they believe that impact is, what work they've done to deliver this. They have just gone, let's give it away, with no theory, forethought or design on the money. Not once has that cost been mentioned. Councillor Davies put the motion. He didn't say, but I think that we can afford an estimated cost of. He didn't. I think the cost would be significant. I think the cost financially to this council would be significant. Worse, I think the cost to the businesses would be significant. Because I think that if we did such a reckless thing, we can't run two schemes, we can't run two discount schemes. We should either keep the clock, the shopper's clock, or get rid of it, and no discount, or get rid of it and have a discount. Because if we try and run the shopper's clock and this discount, what will happen will be that a significant percentage of those who buy a shopper's clock will stop buying it. And then what they will do is they will be going into your towns and the places you want to support these businesses, but instead of having 3 hours to walk and do their shopping and have a coffee, they will now be limiting their time in the town centre to 1 hour. I think it would be truly, truly disastrous for our town centres. And so, actually, I think you are doing a huge disfavour. And you keep mentioning the fact that we supported the motion to Hampshire to try and deal with the Lymington. I agree. It is a completely different thing. They offer no other scheme. They don't offer anything for the locals. They just put a charge in. They've increased that charge. They've reduced the amount of free time. They offer nothing for local people working there, and that is why we supported it. But only one scheme can go forward. So I think if you're talking about an hour's free parking, great. But also, at the same time, be honest, talk about removing the shopper's clock at the same time. Because its usage will be drastically destroyed. You will make it a 1 hour stop in your towns and villages by doing that. You really will, instead of the 3 hours that the clock generates.
Thank you.
And I'm truly, truly worried about it. Honestly, I cannot support it. We have a balanced budget. We still have significant questions over
Thank you, Councillor Heron.
Well,
Thank you.
You are mean to me. You let Councillor Theory get away with it.
President now. That's because it's me and not you.
Blatant favouritism.
He was more succinct tonight. Before we actually vote on the amendment, could I ask our officer, Alan Bethune, S151 officer, he has a statement to make.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I just think with a proposal as significant as this, I think it's just worth pointing out just a few of the key financial details. So just to confirm, as Councillor Heron's mentioned, we have obviously got a level of income that's baked into our balanced budget in terms of our parking account, that being just under £5 million in total. Obviously, this proposal hasn't been formally costed, so I can't indicate actually the likely scale of the overall cost, but I think it's fair to assume that it would be a significant proportion of that 5 million. I would obviously want to get a degree of assurances in terms of the longer term funding strategy for that as a proposal as well. So I think reserves have been mentioned. Obviously that might sustain it for a period of time, but obviously reserves can only be used once and then they run out effectively. So I think to be fair, in terms of the information that we'd need, I think we'd need a little bit more clarity in terms of how it's to be funded as a sustainable proposal. Chairman, that's all I think I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd now ask our officer, Matt, to actually read out the statement for us, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think before we send the electronic vote to members on the amendment, just to clarify, so this is an amendment to recommendation 5 from Cabinet around the proposed car parking fees and charges from the 1st of January 2026. And that's as referenced in paragraph 53 of the report and detailed in full in Appendix 5. So they would be approved subject to the amending of the up to 1 hour within the town and village parking places schedule only to free. So just clarifying that with Councillor Jack Davis.
Councillor Wade, does he want to clarify?
A question, Chairman. When we've had this vote, are we going to vote on the substantive motion? So I will come and address that separately. So.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to vote on this.
Chairman, if I may, a point of order. Councillor Clark, I believe, suggested the idea that it be amended slightly so that we trial this scheme for 1 year. And I think if we did so, that would satisfy our section 151.
Can I just highlight that all of our car parking charges are agreed annually, so any agreement is only for a 12-month period anyway.
Oh, good. Okay. Then I'm satisfied. Thank you, Chief Exec.
So we will now vote on the amendment.
Yes, in which case, members, that vote has just been sent. So this is voting to approve the amendment proposed by Councillor Jack Davis. The options for, against, the alternative being to abstain. Okay, Chairman, that result is with you now, so that the amendment has fallen based on those results there.
Thank you. 417 against. I've lost it. 26. Thank you.
So we go back to the original speakers.
Yeah. So we will return to the original motion.
Any other speakers?
Are there any other speakers? Councillor Wade.
Yeah, Chairman, I want to address the Council about having a medium-term financial plan. This Council will cease to exist in 2028. And it begs the question, having a medium-term financial plan is as much use as having a long-term financial plan, because neither of them are really relevant. We need a financial plan. I think it would be better titled Financial Transition Plan. And I have great interest. I read somewhere that the portfolio holder, Councillor Heron, is really pleased to be able to hand over all the money in a great financial state to the new unitary. I believe.
Southampton would be happy.
Yeah, I believe you did quote that. That is quoted in the minutes. What I want to say is we have one budget left that we will have sole control over. One. And that's the next one. After that, the shadow authority will be influencing how our money is spent. So we have one chance left to give something back to the residents of the New Forest when we do come to do the budget. And that the final point, Chairman, is that this council, whenever we plead poverty all the time, right, but we are one of the richest poor authorities you're ever going to see. And we know we get unbudgeted income. We know this fire funding isn't going to, I know it's not told definite, but it is not going to be as bad as you think it is. So, first of all, we need to think financially transition, because that is the environment we're in. We can't carry on thinking of a long-term financial plan because there ain't going to be a medium term. We need to think differently. We need to look at managing our finances differently, and we need to think of what benefits our residents first. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. We will now return to the substantive motion. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? I think we're all exhausted, aren't we? Right. Councillor Heron is to respond to the final speaker on the debate. 3 minutes, Councillor.
Thank you, Sharon. Once again, Liberal Democrat finances spend today, beg tomorrow. I would like to remind Councillor Wade that as a sovereign authority, we are obliged to have a medium-term financial plan. He may go outside the law. I like to try and stick inside it wherever possible. And equally, when the new council, what happens if there's a delay? What's he going to do? Go out with a begging bowl again if there is a delay in the transfer? He is not planning for the future. But even if there is no delay, we still have a responsibility for our residents. We still have a responsibility to our staff. Does he think that on day one of a new authority, people won't need their salaries paid, people won't need their refuse collected? What is wrong with him? I don't understand it. We morally need to hand this authority over to the next person with the best standing that it possibly can have. And I am committed to that, even if he chooses to renege his responsibility and not do that.
Thank you, Councillor Heron. Members, we will now go to the vote on the 5 recommendations. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, be shortly sending the vote to members. This is on the substantive recommendations as per the report coming forward from Cabinet.
short. We're short 5, aren't we? 4. Is that it?
You can't grade out our work, or did you cut in your work? Sometimes you go first then.
It's about working.
Just sending it now, Chairman. Apologies for the delay there. There you go.
Thank you. The vote is 4, 28, against 12, abstained 3, so it's carried. Thank you. Sorry. When they go to item 6, re-adoption 2025 of the Christchurch Bay and Harbour Flood Coastal Erosion Risk Management FCRERM strategy. This item had 2 recommendations to Cabinet for noting, in that there is no statutory duty for the District Council as the Coastal Protection Authority to undertake protection works, and that extensive engagement and consultation has been undertaken through the development of the strategy. Before debating the Council recommendations, does any member wish to speak on the Cabinet resolutions? No, thank you. Councillor Blunden, will you now introduce this item and the recommendations from Cabinet to approve adopt the revised strategy and commit to developing a funding strategy?
Thank you, Chairman. Pleased to present the report and it moves its adoption. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Very happy to second, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Councillor Dowd.
Yes, it's good news. Forget it. It's good news to learn that over the next 20 years, the estimated remedial funding for the project has been adjusted downwards, even though there's the usual caveat. This makes the lack of any action to move forward with a consummate strategy for the east of the district all the more frustrating, especially given the comments made in the Cabinet meeting underlined how this blocks possible funding streams for remedial works. This council has a pivotal role in coordinating with the Environment Agency, but has dragged its feet over more than 4 decades. Waterside residents and business owners are frustrated and tired of being ignored. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. There was a discussion in a panel meeting that this council was going to work on a strategy for Lymington to Ealing. But as yet, we have not seen it. Without a strategy, you cannot get funding to fix flooding. We all know that sea levels are rising. There are parts of Hythe that regularly get flooded every year. With climate change, the impact of that, this problem will only increase. There are flooding, I believe, in parts of Lymington as well. So,
usually sewage.
Thank you. We need to seriously address the point that Councillor Dowd has made. We need to produce a strategy, which is not high-cost activity, for the coastline from Lymington to Ealing, so that then funding can be made available to do the work. Because, believe me, we do not want to have water flooding in to the east of the district, even if we hand it over to a unitary, which in a good state. We have just as much responsibility to keep the district dry and not flooded as you do to have a good financial bank balance. So I can plead that this council put the effort into producing that strategy as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Blunden, do you wish to respond?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to remind all members that the strategy is not controlled by the District Council. It is the Environment Agency who control this. We influence them as far as we can, but it is firmly in their court.
Members, we will now go to the vote on the two recommendations to approve and adopt the revised strategy, and in doing so, to commit to developing a funding strategy. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, as you've mentioned, the two recommendations in the paper for Council's approval, the strategy and then the development of the funding strategy. Now with you for voting. That's completed, Chairman, with you.
Thank you. That vote was unanimous. Thank you very much. We will now go to item 7, Draft Air Quality Strategy, Public Consultation Report. Councillor Poole, will you now introduce this item and the recommendation to adopt the Air Quality Strategy?
I'm delighted to recommend that the Council adopts the Air Quality Strategy, which had the full support of both the Cabinet and the Scrutiny Panel.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman. I am supportive of the air strategy, and I appreciate all the work that's gone into it, particularly by officers and members. But I perhaps make the point that with the prospect of Dibden Bay being developed and the addition of thousands of more lorry movements, I think that has the very real danger of causing a great deal of environmental harm by way of their emissions. Now, lorries are not the polluters that they used to be, and it would be good to think that over time they will become cleaner users of energy. But nevertheless, I live quite close to Rushington Roundabout, which will be, heavily used by lorries. And I think I'm reflecting the wishes of the people in Totton and the people in Marchwood, who will be very concerned indeed about the effects of pollution, not just the impacts that arise from the docks, but particularly the traffic movements, and that needs to be carefully considered when Associated British Ports make their pitch. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
Yes, on page 40 of the strategy, in item 10.3, where it says work with Hampshire County Council to increase reach of public transport services, it mentions bus and rail. Could an addition of ferries, both Hythe and Isle of Wight, be considered? Because these are other opportunities to get people off the road and support the air quality strategy and get folk off the A326 before, during and after Solent Gateway 2. So I just thought that could be a useful addition, otherwise completely support the strategy.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Councillor Dowd.
Yes, I too welcome this strategy, and the thing I'm most impressed with is that there is a commitment to do more than just the basic, and I look forward to a bold approach to looking at air quality for the health of all our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I think we all strategy. Yeah, it's a good strategy. But the point about Dibden Bay that Councillor Harrison raised is very real. And we will be a consultee of the APB's development plans when they come. And I would suggest that we have a air potential. We can't have, it's not just an air management area because we don't know whether we need one on it, but it may well end up needing an air management area. But what we do, we put in our consultee to them a level to protect and understand the impact that Dibden Bay will be with all the emissions from vehicles. because, of course, Dibden Bay is in my ward. So I'm particularly concerned that we have a method to ensure that we are not over-polluting, because there will be thousands upon thousands of extra vehicles on the A326, bringing the huge amounts of cars, because APB say they want to expand their car business up and down that road. So that is a really important point. For the future, we have that on our radar. It's part of the consultation, and we make sure there are adequate preparations to monitor these emissions, but also we try and get Associated British Ports to do what they can to try and mitigate the impact on local people.
Thank you. Councillor Poole, do you wish to respond as the final speaker?
Yes, certainly. I'd be very glad to add the ferry to, or ferries to the wording. And the other point, it's really important to make this point, the air quality is being checked all the time, and we will obviously respond accordingly as and when, if necessary.
Thank you. Members, we'll now go to the vote on the recommendation to adopt the air quality strategy. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Just sending the vote to members now for the adoption of the air quality strategy. That's completed, Chairman, with you now.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous. Thank you. We'll go to agenda item 7, report of the member appointment panel. Councillor Cleary, will you now introduce this item and the recommendation to appoint Richard Knott as Chief Operations Officer and a Deputy Chief Executive?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All I need to say is that this was a unanimous decision by the interview panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Very happy to second, Chairman. Thank you.
Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Thank you. Do I ask Claire to respond? No need. Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendation to appoint Richard Knott as Chief Operations Officer, Deputy Chief Executive. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Just sending the vote for the appointment as per your speech there.
Strange, sure. 39.
The results there with you, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. That vote is carried.
Chairman, if I can I take this opportunity to congratulate Richard Knott? I thought it was a bit premature ahead of the vote.
Thank you.
Chairman, and from the Liberal Democrat side, we'd like to congratulate Richard Knott as well.
Thank you very much. We will go to agenda item 8, questions. Members, there are 9 questions. A reminder, we have a total of 30 minutes for this item again. Any member asking a question who is not in attendance will have their question dealt with in writing, as will any question falling outside the 30 minutes. Each question shall be put and answered without discussion. Each reply should be no longer than 3 minutes. I will invite each member who has asked a question, if they have one supplementary question arising from the answer, which should be dealt with in a maximum of 2 minutes. Right, okay. Right, we'll go to the questions. The first question is from Councillor Stephanie Osborne, and that she will have a written answer for that. That's not being present. So question 2, Councillor Jack Davis to the portfolio holder for housing and homelessness, Councillor Steve Davis.
From one Davis to another. I'm really pleased to see the Better Futures programme. It's really important we invest in supporting young people to develop skills they need to get on in life. However, it's not just skills. housing is the #1 priority for young people. Can the portfolio holder tell me what the council are doing to get more housing for younger people across the New Forest?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Davis. I certainly agree that the council's economic development team are delivering some great work for our residents. But then again, so too are our rather special housing teams. As you know, legislation guides our approach to meeting housing needs, and that is one steeped in equality and opportunities for all. Those aged 35 and under, I'm assuming that's what you mean by the younger cohort, that's incredibly young as far as I'm concerned. Those aged, wasn't that funny? Those aged 35 and under represent 37% of our current housing register applicants. In the last 12 months, social housing lettings to those aged 35 and under match demand, with 37% of lettings going to this age demographic. We are very much focused on additional housing delivery, providing a range of property types and sizes to meet a range of demand. In the next 18 months, 135 flats and houses will be delivered across the district by this council, and through our enabling and planning roles, a further 422 units of registered provider housing will be delivered in the next 2 years. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, some of us went to visit Ashurst to the Vivid development, which was quite fascinating. However, it isn't just social rented where we are providing homes which benefit young people. I think we all know that. The council has now sold 13 units of shared ownership, and you'll be delighted to know that 9 of those involve applicants under the age of 35. Shared ownership, I think, is a fantastic form of housing supporting our residents, often with their first steps on the property ladder. And we are committed to providing a further 51 units ourselves, alongside our partners who are delivering significantly more, with 129 in the pipeline. As more and more of our strategic sites allocated in our local plan come forward, then more affordable housing will be delivered to the benefit of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, do you have a supplementary?
Thank you. Yes, I do. Obviously, it's my job to stand up for Lymington and Paignton. So if 42% of new market homes in Lymington and Paignton are retirement flats, and even affordable homes from the strategic site, one of which was behind Oakhaven Hospice in Lower Pennington, the affordable housing was kept for over 55s. How are you going to combat that in order to actually deliver the housing for young people? Because it's all well and good saying you're working in legislation, but obviously the legislation is not good enough to support younger people into housing here in the New Forest.
Well, I wouldn't actually disagree with you, to be honest with you. I think but the fact is we have a local plan that we're going through again, and I think it's down to the local plan to actually lay down the foundations for what we want. I have known developments in the past, particularly in New Milton, where the whole development, Eastlands, was built for only those that aged under 35.
Yes.
Okay, quite a few of them are now a bit older than 35. But that's the kind of thing we can do and could do again. I think so. Local plan is something we need to look at, and I'm not going to look at Derek Tipp here because I know he's got the work to do, but that's maybe the solution that we should look forward to.
Thank you. Moving quickly on, question 3. From Councillor Malcolm Wade to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Geoffrey Blunden.
Councillor Blunden, the residents of the Waterside are in an uproar over the failure of this council to deliver the black bin bags and recycling sacks. This is now months behind schedule. Why has the communication on this issue to local members, and more importantly the public, been so poor? And why has this happened, and when will it be finally livid, as this has made the situation much worse?
Yes, thanks. Sorry, Councillor. On you go.
Thank you, Councillor Wade, for that question. SAC deliveries for Phase 3 are continuing, with deliveries commencing in the Hythe area this week. Deliveries will thereafter continue in a southerly direction of travel to include Dibden Purley, Holbury, Blackfield, Fawley, Leap, Langley, Calshot, Exbury, Bewley and the surrounding areas. We have a main crew out and have been supplementing this with additional crew when the capacity allows. We also supplement this with street scene capacity and agency staff when they are available. We currently expect the SAC deliveries to be completed by mid to late December, with the necessary caveat, however, that if we need to deploy the resource working on SACs to deliver the statutory function of collecting waste, we will automatically take that as an operational priority. Evidently, there have been times recently when there's been a case which the SAC deliveries are behind the usual schedule, and I'm sorry for any inconvenience that has caused. As highlighted in previous questions, many local authorities, like us, are experiencing disruption to waste services due to staff shortages and agency staff availability. Residents who are already preparing for the future service, acquiring their own bin bags via retail or online outlets, will of course be able to utilise these SACs when we deliver them within their new wheelie bin containers. In the meantime, residents who are not in a position to wait to receive their SACs can collect from customer services if they contact them with their address. Waste and recycling updates are circulated to members weekly, and may I refer you to the most recent of those dated the 10th of October, specifically regarding SACs. Information on all aspects of the waste service is available for residents via our website and supplemented by direct mailing.
Thank you, Councillor Blandon. Councillor Wade, do you have a supplementary?
Yes, thank you for that comprehensive answer. Didn't quite answer the question, but never mind. Following on from the well-documented problems in the Phase 1 rollout, and despite the equally dismal delivery programme of waste sacks set to Phase 3 area, will you personally commit to Phases 2 and 3 residents they will not have the same level of poor performance in the new waste strategy rollout in their areas?
Certainly the aim is to ensure that the service we provide a first-class service. But it's quite difficult as we roll out to predict all consequences, like I've already mentioned, short staffing, agency problems. Whenever you've got a service of this complexity, it is normal that you will get some miscollections. That's inevitable. You will get breakdowns of vehicles, you'll get hold-ups on roads. That is the nature of our business. So I'm afraid I can't give you that assurance, but certainly officers are working very hard to provide an excellent service.
Thank you. Question 4, from Councillor Philip Dowd to the Leader of the Council, Councillor Ger Cleary.
Thank you, Chair. The Council recently backed option 1 unanimously for a Mid-Hampshire unitary that keeps the New Forest whole. What are the detailed financial, service delivery, governance risks and contingency plans if central government rejects or modifies this proposal? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cleary.
Thank you for your question. I addressed a very similar question at our last council meeting, and I would refer you to that answer as that remains highly relevant. I would further add that both the Council and Cabinet have endorsed a significant body of work that specifically outlines the risks associated with boundary changes, particularly in relation to service delivery and governance. These risks and the potential implications of central government not adopting our preferred option are the subject of ongoing dialogue with MHCLG. That engagement directly informs our scenario planning for all possible outcomes. Our emerging LGR programme is designed to manage these risks and puts appropriate arrangements in place to keep resources, finances and emerging issues under review. We recognise that the current lack of clarity around future groupings is in itself a key risk, and we are actively monitoring this and stepping up our planning accordingly. Our proportionate approach ensures that contingency measures are in place to safeguard financial stability, maintain service continuity, and uphold strong governance arrangements, whatever the financial decision may be.
Thank you. Councillor Day, do you have a supplementary?
No, I think that's probably enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to question 5, from Councillor Mark Clark to the portfolio holder for planning and economy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Fawley Waterside Venice of Britain scheme was recently dropped due to viability concerns. What lessons has the Council learnt from that process, and how will it ensure future large developments are financially robust, environmentally sustainable and aligned with local character?
Thank you for your question. I want to begin by saying to you that the viability of a development scheme is the responsibility of the developer. So it is very important for a developer to do their own research before putting in a planning application to ensure the financial robustness of their scheme. Fawley Waterside remains the most complex development site in the district in terms of delivery and constraints. Its scale, location, and environmental sensitivities mean that any future proposals will require careful consideration and detailed engagement. I would remind members that you are all invited to a dedicated briefing session on Tuesday, the 21st of October, where the developers will provide an update on progress and outline their intentions for the site. This will be an important opportunity to hear directly from them, ask questions, and understand the next steps. The Council will continue to work closely with the developers to ensure that any proposals brought forward are deliverable, environmentally sustainable, and appropriate for the unique character of the New Forest.
Thank you. Councillor Clark, do you have a supplementary?
I do, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Tipp, for that. Can the portfolio holder confirm what types of development as a priority for Fawley residents would generate community infrastructure levy contributions, and whether such contributions from future developments will directly benefit Fawley Parish Council and the wider Waterside community, as opposed to an industrial development which perhaps does not?
I cannot give you a full answer to that at the moment. I will have to give you an answer in writing later. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to question 6, from Councillor Phil Woods to the portfolio holder for planning and economy, Councillor Derek Tipp.
Thank you, Chairman. High streets in the west of the New Forest are struggling, with established shops closing in Lyndhurst and many empty units in Fordingbridge. Residents suggest cheaper parking, cleaner street scenes, more frequent weeding and regular litter picking, and in many cases, residents are doing these tasks on a voluntary basis. Can I ask the portfolio holder what NFDC has done and will do next to help our vital high streets to survive?
Councillor Tipp.
Thank you. This gives me the opportunity here to list the many initiatives that we are taking across the district. NFDC is actively supporting our high streets, including Lyndhurst and Fordingbridge, through a whole range of initiatives. The Economic Development Team are working locally to provide tailored business support and build partnerships with town and parish councils. An empty shops project is in development to help revitalise vacant units. Up to £10,000 in rural prosperity funding per applicant, total fund £57,000, has been allocated, with an additional £20,000 via the New Forest National Park Authority for micro and small producers. We're attending and supporting local networking events, including in Lyndhurst. £200,000 of the UK Shared Prosperity Fund is funding new programmes for 25-26, including start-up and scale-up support, an apprenticeship hub and digital support. We co-sponsored the Hampshire Fair stand at the Speciality and Fine Food Fair in London which showcased 2 New Forest businesses in collaboration with Test Valley Borough Council and Winchester City Council. A sustainability project is being developed to support retail and hospitality businesses with cost of living challenges. We promote digital marketing, boot camps, and also sponsoring 2 business awards, one for micro businesses and one for young talent in food and drink. A new economic development strategy is being written and a skills action plan in progress. Our business newsletter, with over 3,000 subscribers, regularly highlights local businesses and developments. Over the past 3 years, NFDC Economic Development Service has invested £1.54 million into the local economy through infrastructure and business support. Other areas of the council are also working to improve our high streets, including the work our street scene team do day in and day out across our district, keeping the district clean and tidy. There are also the 4 days of free parking that have been offered in our towns before Christmas. As our leader said earlier, announced earlier, on Small Business Saturday on the 6th of December is the first one of those. I hope all members will agree that this clearly demonstrates our ongoing commitment to supporting and revitalising our high streets.
Thank you. Councillor Wis, do you have a supplementary?
Chairman, thank you, Councillor Tipp. As previously mentioned, we believe that Fordingbridge is a special case. Would the portfolio holder be prepared to commit or support to trialling a first hour free parking initiative to support our high street recovery? As Shakespeare reminds us, better 3 hours too soon than a minute too late. Prompt action could make a real difference to our local economy.
Well, I think that the 3-hour question was answered earlier in the debate we had on that subject, so I will leave it at that.
Thank you. We will go to question 7 from Councillor Alex Wade to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Jeff Blunden.
Please can you advise the estimated cost of 1 hour free parking at NFTC car parks not on seafronts and in proximity to a high street for the period from November the 1st to February the 28th?
Councillor Blunden.
Thank you for the question. I feel we've somewhat covered this in detail, but however, I can tell you the estimated loss of 1 hour ticket sales would be approximately 120,000 per annum. This doesn't, however, take into account customers who currently pay for more than 1 hour and potentially therefore spend more time in the high streets.
Thank you. Councillor Wade, do you have a supplementary?
I do indeed. Thank you for the information and the figures. Considering what was discussed earlier in our wider discussion about the calendar year, this is not as dramatic to our finances as I'd expected. It might be too late for this winter, but can I ask for the final winter of this council that it's strongly considered, if not for the year, for the when it is most challenging for our businesses in the winter months where there's no community events, we do not have the high levels of tourism, that we, in addition to the much valued free parking days, we strongly consider the 1 hour free parking in winter months to support villages and at least have the figures for the budget and information for 26-27. Thank you.
I'm sure your comments will be noted when setting the budget for next year.
Thank you. Question 8 from Councillor Sean Cullen to the Leader of the Council, Councillor Jill Cleary.
Thank you, Chair. Can I ask you, as Leader of NSDC, to write to Njord Partners, the organisation who have recently taken over Red Funnel and therefore ownership of the Hythe Ferry, and ask them for clarity on their plans for the Hythe Ferry, and urge them to expedite any works on the pontoon to get this valued and strategically important mode of transport back up and running. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Leader.
Thank you for raising this matter. I am aware of the keen interest in the Hythe Ferry from the many previous times it has been raised in this chamber. I am very happy to write to Njord Partners and the new owners of Red Funnel and therefore the Hythe Ferry to request clarity on their plans for the Hythe Ferry service. I am keen for a transparency perspective for our residents to get a clear timetable of any works required on the pontoon as they fall to the owners to fund. I hope that the new owners will be quick to take the steps they need to bring the Hythe Ferry back into operation so it can play a part in the district's transport network and help support local connectivity.
Thank you. Councillor Cullen, a supplementary.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Question 9, the last question. You've done very well. From Councillor Carolyn Rackham to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Jeff Brundon.
Thank you, Chair. The majority of our population lives along the waterside, yet there's still no overarching flood plan or coastal plan for the waterside. When can we expect one?
Councillor Blunden.
Thank you for the question. I think it's another outing of this topic. But having said that, I do understand that this is important to you and the residents. But at sounding like a broken record, it is the Environment Agency who are responsible for this work, not the District Council. The Environment Agency has confirmed that the flood and coastal erosion risk management strategy for Lymington to Redbridge coastal frontage, which includes much of the waterside, is listed in their forward programme of works. This has a provisional start date of 2027-28, an estimated delivery period thereafter of 5 years. The strategy is expected to combine with a plan for the eastern side of Southampton Water, creating a more integrated approach to coastal risk management across the region. With regard to funding, I would stress the strategy itself is not yet funded, and that is estimated to cost about £5 million. Again, it is up to the Environment Agency to resolve this. This was discussed in detail at the Place and Sustainability Overview and Scrutiny Panel on the 19th of June, where an EA officer presented the current position. The minutes and recording of that meeting remain available to you and, of course, any other members who are interested.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham, do you have a supplementary?
I do, thank you. My understanding is that it's a joint partnership to develop these plans, hence we've just voted on the Christchurch Bay and Harbour strategy. So I feel more can be done, particularly when you think about the large infrastructure projects that are possibly being planned for the near future along near Marchwood with Dibden Bay and Fawley. So really we need to have a look at what flood risk those might pose as they're being built, and how will NFDC ensure that any risk of flooding from these projects is mitigated through the coastal plan.
I think, again, when the strategy is published and we start to engage with the Environment Agency as a partner, we play a full role in that. And we will continue to do that. But again, we as a local authority, flooding is an EA responsibility. Well, not responsibility, but it is in their remit.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 9, notice of motion. Members, in accordance with Standing Order 42.2, I will allow this motion to be dealt with this evening as I consider it to be convenient to the dispatch of business. Councillor Alex Wade, I invite you to move your motion.
Thank you. I will speak on the motion. The motion's there in front of you. You don't need me to read it through word by word. Thank you for allowing me to propose this and speak on it this evening, Chair. My intention with this motion is to show how we as an authority and all of us as ward councillors who live and represent our communities are best placed to understand local housing need. Councillor Tipp, your motion a few months ago on government proposals for planning for local councils inspired me, as it was another example of a government not listening to local authorities and proposing a top-down, one-size-fits-all approach to all councils and mislabelling NFDC councillors as NIMBY and anti any development. This isn't true. This council can point to examples where it has built homes for those on its waiting list and encouraged development through the district, despite a significant portion of our area falling within a national park. Local and neighbourhood plans are created by those who live, work and represent our communities, many in this room. It is we and they who know what homes are needed. The government have consistently made it challenging for councils to actually provide safe and affordable homes, with right to buy, huge funding cuts to council budgets and tax rises impacting so many people that means they rely on us, local councils, to fund somewhere to live, which is a basic need as they come. The New Forest District Council has a target of 600 affordable homes to be built by 2026, with recent data meaning that they will hit 462 completed by 25-26, not yet hitting that target. As of August, NFDC also has 62 households in emergency accommodation, with many families with young children, not to mention the high number in temporary accommodation. All councillors have casework around housing, homelessness and some utterly heartbreaking and challenging circumstances. Families not able to settle find a home near family friends, schools and their wider support network, and private landlords are asking tenants to leave family accommodation or ending tenancies. Alongside the 5-year housing land supply assessment, which shows that for the period from 25-26 to 29-30, we can only demonstrate 1.5 years supply of deliverable housing sites. NFD faces significant challenges providing homes for local people. LGR has emphasised partnership working, efficiencies and asset management. But why aren't these public services following suit and working together for community need? Since 2016, Hythe Police Station in my ward has been derelict. It's an eyesore. If at the time the PCC and local authority partners had agreed to pass this over community asset to NFDC and kept its use within public benefit and need, we would have had a number of homes built and lived in by now, reducing the waiting list for local families and pressures on our hard-working and pretty dedicated housing team. The benefit is clear. Public buildings are often centrally located, reducing needs for cars and encouraging sustainable travel, encouraging more footfall in our high streets and ensures the community's younger generations are not forced to move away. We need families of all ages to ensure a thriving community, and families and younger people to feel as much a part of that community as the older generations and wish to get involved. We know Lymington is another example, a location where families could have found a home and supported the local economy and employment needs of the town. But to me, it seems like it's not about shared priorities anymore and what is best for our communities. It's about money, and it shouldn't be. I am not arguing for handing over an asset free, but where a public asset is made available, discussions that are had that allow that to go to a fellow public body is prioritised. This would improve partnership working, put local community need first, and ensure assets are back in use in a much shorter period of time. There is a very positive example also in my ward as Hythe Hospital, where NFDC will have 22 affordable homes available for local people very soon. This isn't going to solve the housing crisis on its own, but councillors, we live in a special, unique area with limited options for housing development. If we can take the lead and campaign for a smarter, cooperative management of public assets, we can improve the well-being of so many local people and families. There is a place for many types of housing in our district, and we want to build and provide homes for the 1879 households on the waiting list, with those struggling in emergency and temporary accommodation, sofa serving, paying exorbitant rents, having to move away or living at home much later into their adult life. Our commitment needs to be to affordable and accessible people to live here. The government are trying to use undemocratic and unpopular proposals to encourage house building. Well, here's my solution, an idea that shows we want to build homes, but make it accessible, affordable and achievable for our councils to do so. So we can speak as one and try and make the government listen to us. Because I trust Steve, and I trust Steve on Milton in the way I trust Jack and Cole in Pennington and Malcolm and Steph in Tipton Timperley. You know what belongs in your community, not the government. This is a small way of us saying so.
Thank you. Councillor Cullen, would you like to second this motion?
Happy to second the motion, Chair.
Do you wish to speak now, or would you wish to speak later in debate?
I'll speak now. I fear I'm going to be echoing a lot of what my colleagues already said. So I strongly support this motion because at its heart lies a simple truth, that a home is not a luxury, it's a foundation for a decent life. Yet here in the New Forest, over 2,000 families and individuals are waiting, hoping, and far too often despairing at the lack of affordable homes. We are a district blessed with natural beauty and constrained by it. With so much of our area within the national park, our space to build is limited. That means every opportunity, every potential site must be treated as precious. And when public land that belongs ultimately to the people, is sold off to the highest private bidder, we lose more than bricks and mortar. We lose the chance to shape our own communities, to build homes that serve need, not profit. The government endlessly talks about localism, yet its planning reforms too often strip away local voices here through our local plan. We have set out a responsible, realistic path to deliver homes sustainably for our residents, not imposed from Whitehall. But when public sites like the police station in Hyde and Lymington are sold off from under us without our consultation, that path becomes harder still. This motion is not anti-development, it's pro-community. It says let's give public bodies the first right to use public land for public good. Let's work with LGA and our MPs to make that principle the norm, not the exception. Because housing is more than a policy. It's about dignity, opportunity and stability. It's about keeping families in the places that they grow up, about ensuring that our key workers can live near where they serve. Colleagues, let's stand up for fairness, for our communities and for the belief that homes should be built for people, not for profit. Please support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Cullen. Can I now call speakers on the motion proposed by Councillor Wade, please? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I'm grateful to my Lib Dem colleague Alex Wade for bringing this motion to Council tonight. I know that the future of Hythe Police Station weighs on his mind. The people of Lymington and Pennington were in a similar position a few years ago when our police station was sold off, demolished, and a block of retirement flats were built by Churchill Retirement Living against the wishes of local people. I urged NFDC at the time to buy the site and build affordable housing for locals. No sooner had it been suggested than the Police and Crime Commissioner sold it off to Churchill. It wasn't the first time. Conservative Police and Crime Commissioners also did the same in Fleet and in Basingstoke. That Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner, who ignored the people of Lymington and Pennington, is now running to be Mayor of Hampshire and Solent. God help us. No community building or police station will be safe. I back this motion because my job is to stand up for the people of Lymington and Pennington, not to support the Conservative mentality of selling off the family silver to the highest bidder. So I urge you to back this motion because Alex Wade cares about the people of Hythe and Dibden, and I think we should do too.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Just checking, I wouldn't want to be mistaken with the Councillor Clark on the opposite benches. It's very easy to place a simplistic approach to an item like this. This administration strongly supports the provision of affordable housing, and our record is something we can stand by. You know, we have, in previous answers we've heard in discussions this evening, Councillor Davis has pointed out the way we've delivered affordable housing, which is available for all people. But what we have to consider in a motion like this is whether we are limiting the operational requirements of other statutory agencies such as the NHS, such as the police service. And Councillor Davis talks about the Crime Commissioner, who has actually delivered more on policing than any other Crime Commissioner in the country. But clearly he wants to ignore that. Now, you have to look at the operational needs of an organisation such as the police, such as the NHS. If they want to reinvest in more modern hospitals, modern equipment, they need to provide the best funding opportunities that they can. And that means that they've got to look at the sites, repurpose them, and bring in the new sites so that they can then provide services for the greater good. This is all about competition for the different services. Same applies to policing. If we support a motion like this, we are going headlong
into dispute with our police service and with our NHS. We cannot support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Heron.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Unfortunately, I cannot support this motion. The Local Governments Act of 1972, Section 123, is clear that we are to look for the best return on any asset when disposing of it as a public authority and as any other. And there is a reason behind that. And the reason behind that is that anything less than that can lead to the possibility of accusations of corruption, of distortion, of undermining other authorities when they are trying to do the best value for their service. We cannot allow it to happen. It is a nice idea. In a world full of moonbeams and unicorns, I would fully support it. We don't live in that. We live in a harsh reality of this real world. And for that reason, I cannot support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tipp.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I think this is a very well-intentioned motion, and I think that the idea of we heard a lot in the debate from your speech earlier about how short we are of properties for affordable housing. But the fact is that there's a fundamental problem with it, and that is that if you don't go to the market and have an open, free debate, then you have to decide what the price is. And that's where I think the first problem will arise, because somebody's got to do that, make that decision. And of course, the second point, as we heard from other speakers, is that you don't get the full price, and that means you're really robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yeah. You're taking money away from one government department to give it to another. And for those reasons, unfortunately, I cannot support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. Firstly, for Councillor Clark, a freedom of information request by a colleague of mine about police numbers said that police officers and support staff were less under Donna Jones's rule than they were prior to that fact. The point about that Councillor Heron raised about the Local Government Act, the idea of this very, very articulated in one motion is to effect change. Now, I know this district council was interested in acquiring the Hive site as a fact, right? Because they saw it as a good place to put affordable housing. But they couldn't get it because it went to a commercial higher rate. Now, all of us here, members, officers, including the police, including all the NHS, are public servants. We serve the public. We don't see the public how much money we can get out of them. We serve them. And every decision we make should be for the best service of the public. That site will be better for affordable housing for young people that have to leave the area because they can't afford a house than what it's going to be used for, potentially used for, if it gets planning permission now. This very well put together motion is asking this council to write to the government to effect change for the benefit of residents. Because if you do the same old thing, you get the same old result. We need to effect change. Change the legislation so they can legally, public servants can pass on a site for other public service. When it no longer needs to be a police station, it can be something else that serves the public. That's what we should be doing. That's what this motion says. And any member who wants to serve the public should support this well put together motion.
Thank you. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman. I make no secret of the fact that I enjoy being a councillor, but there's one element of my job which I've never enjoyed, and I suspect that I share this with a lot of members in the chamber. It's when you get that telephone call from, it's usually a young person, who's desperate for affordable housing. And you know that there is very little you can do about it. Now, I often hear Conservatives telling us
that their record on delivery of affordable housing is a good one. But by any objective measure, the performance over the last 20 years has been poor. And we've got to do something about it. Now, it may well be that the Labour government managed to persuade authorities and other organisations, even the commercial sector, to get more impetus into this matter. But I think it's probably beholden on us as councillors to do what we can within our sphere of influence to improve matters for the benefit of people who are desperate, who are on a waiting list for affordable housing. Now, this seems to me to be a pretty sensible suggestion. What we're actually doing, and forget the shroud wading we've heard from Councillor Heron, that what we're doing is illegal and it can't happen. Well, we're asking the government to change the law so it can happen. That's the point with this. If the government agrees that this is a good initiative, government will support it, and ultimately, people who are looking for affordable housing will benefit as a result. So that's why I'm going to support the motion, and I'd like to congratulate Councillor Wade in putting together what I think is a very good motion. It's very supportable. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. So I haven't got too much to add in terms of argument. Councillor Wade and Councillor Cullen have been very articulate. However, I would say 2,000 people waiting for homes is really not a good enough job. And for those people, I'm sure that they're not living in a world filled with unicorns and rainbows.
Yes.
This is an opportunity to be at the forefront of a really good motion that will really help our residents. And I hope that you will take it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Glass.
Thank you. Despite the eloquence of the presentation, I have to disagree with it for the exact reason that these sort of properties, when they come on the market, we have to establish a value, and the people that own them, like the police, have to refill their budget. So they've got the money to buy another unit. Also, going back into when years ago I was on planning, I remember the site you're talking about, the old police station in Hythe. You couldn't have done affordable homes on there because it was in the old part of the village and would not have been permitted to use for that type. The reason the new development was turned down was because it didn't fit with the requirements of that area. So you've got to allow for the rest of the country controlling some of the things we do, like there are planning rules. And also, if we take the money from the police when they sell something, who's going to refill that black hole? This is a lovely idea, but I don't ever think it could work.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade, would you like to respond to the debate?
Yes, thank you very much. Just on a couple, firstly, I want to thank Councillor Cullen. That was a really, really thoughtful contribution. Thank you ever so much. And to everyone for taking time to read the motion, particularly as it's 2 hours into the meeting. I very much appreciate that. On the point about, and Councillor Heron and Tip and Clark are absolutely fair to mention about cost. But what about the cost that we have on temporary accommodation, of emergency accommodation, of supporting areas of deprivation, of antisocial behaviour and supporting vulnerable people and in the care services? Public bodies collectively, that ends up being as a cost to the public purse. And the more areas that go into the public area to, or private organisations that have a place for building homes, but we might be overpopulated in a growing and ageing population, and many people moving into Hythe and Dibden and the surrounding forest rather than local residents, is that you're losing any available place for housing. So we then have those bigger waiting lists and more emergency accommodation and more temporary accommodation and more cost on the housing budget. So that is my pushback on the point about the cost overall, and the impact is that actually it has a net benefit because you're getting people homes Ideally, using public assets in town and village centres that are close enough so they can go and get jobs and support the economy and help the local area thrive, reduce crime, reduce antisocial behaviour, improve physical and mental well-being. So that is my counterpoint to the cost and charge. And do you know what, Jeremy? I got my unicorn from you. And I really think that if we're going to have discussion, I appreciate your point from the finances, but wanting to make it easier for this area to build houses isn't fanciful, it's just offering a suggestion. I appreciate there clearly is a view, but we've got to sometimes have a say as a council and challenge back on things that make our jobs harder. Because if we keep losing all these areas to organisations who have their place but only focus on a certain type of accommodation, it will be so much harder for younger families to live here. And you know what? They'll move, and honestly, the New Forest will become an area where it's older and there'll be no one to do the jobs and the schools, and we need to do something now. Thank you everyone for taking consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. That was a good debate. Members, we will now go to the vote on the motion. I will now ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, sending the vote to members. The motion is set out on the agenda at item 9, moved by Councillor Alex Wade and seconded by Councillor Sean Cullen. That's completed, Chairman. That's not successful, that motion.
Thank you. For 16, against 25. The motion is not carried. Thank you, members. We'll now go to allocation of seats and appointments to committees and panels. We will now consider the report and appendices detailing the proposed allocation of seats and appointments to committees and panels. This has been published as urgent under item 11. The final allocations and memberships were published this afternoon, following consideration by group leaders. Councillor Cleary, would you like to present this report and its recommendations, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that all leaders are supporting this report, and I would like to recommend this council to agree this report before you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second.
Thank you. Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? I'm getting tired now.
Councillor Davis.
Oh, Councillor Davis. Councillor Davis.
Sorry, on this, I'm just checking, is this the political makeup of the committee and groups, yeah? Yeah, so obviously there's been slight changes in terms of the non-aligned. Just first, Chair, has Councillor Dunning been offered a committee place? Would he like one?
Councillor Dunning has not been offered a committee place.
Has he expressed an interest in wanting one? I just want, because obviously I don't like to see councillors without a committee place.
Councillor Davis, this is debate, not an answer.
Sorry, okay then. I would quite like to see Councillor Dunning have
Councillor Cleary can answer at the end.
Okay, well, the point will stand that I would, I think it should be a two-way conversation. I wouldn't like to see a councillor disenfranchised, despite me continually disagreeing with him on pretty much everything.
Thank you.
I think that should be noticed.
Harrison? Yeah. Councillor Harrison, do you wish to speak now?
Yes, Chairman, can we just check that no one has defected to the Reform parties since the start of the meeting?
Pardon? Go to. Speak.
I know this is a debate, so I just want to make a point rather than in a question sort of way. I totally agree with the paper that the monitoring officer put forward because it's based on a mathematical equation. It would be interesting to know sometime in the future how close we are to that mathematical equation changing, because it's all based on numbers. And I don't think that was in the report that was sent. So that's something perhaps to be thought of for the future.
Thank you. Members will now go to the vote on the recommendation to consider the allocation of seats to committees and panels and appoints councillors to individual committees and panels.
Okay, shortly sending the vote to members. The report, as circulated on Friday, details the main body of the legislation, and the supplement includes the final allocations and the names of members to be appointed to committees. That's with you now for voting. Councillors Armstrong and Linford, I think as you're next to each other, it might be, if you could check. Okay, that vote's now with you, Chairman.
Thank you. 437 against 3, abstain 1. The motion is carried. Members, we now go to agenda item 10, membership of committees and panels. This has been considered through the previous item. We'll go to agenda item 11, any other items which the Chairman decides are urgent. We have already considered an urgent report tonight. I've no other urgent items. Please can I take this opportunity to thank you all for working debate through this evening's important business. I declare the meeting closed.